everybody. There are a lot of mixed feelings on Star Wars and whether or not they should have kept going, whether they're good storytelling. I'm not here to talk about that today, but I will warn you, there are going to be spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker. So, if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, click away now. That's your only warning. Spoilers ahead. So, I want to talk about the things that they did in this movie that were interesting, to say the least. Interesting storytelling choices. There were some curious options. I went and saw it last night, so it's not quite as fresh as if I'd done this like right away, but pretty darn fresh still. And there are some questions, some things that I don't know how I feel about. So, things that they should have brought back and dealt with again later, things that I would have loved to see from the Star Wars universe actually brought into the screen. One of these things is Rey freaking lightning handing that ship. That is a Sith move. And they explain why she was able to do that. They sort of explain why she was able to do that. They also explain, I already told you there would be spoilers, so I guess I can talk freely, but they also explain her parentage and what happened, and it's so sad, and my heart couldn't take that, but also, I don't like the thought of Palpatine having children, let alone a grandchild. So, there's that little problem, right? First, I have so many questions, and I don't want to think about the answers, but who on earth decided that, who would be a good person to do with Palpatine? Anyway, so there's that little questionable tidbit of happenings. Number 2, if the Force is so strong in Rey, why wasn't the Force also strong in her parents, and why were they so easily killed? That makes me question a lot of things. So, there's that little problem. Also, she did it once. Why didn't she ever do the Sith thing again? There are instances, in my understanding, and granted, I might be completely wrong about this because I haven't actually, myself, read all of the external to the movies Star Wars lore that exists, but I'm pretty sure, from what I've seen on the internet, that there are Jedi Knights who have dabbled in both the dark and the light, and can do both without succumbing to either. And if that's the case with Rey, I am here for it, and I want to see more of that. I don't know if they're going to continue. I am so down for there to be that morally gray instance in the Star Wars film universe. I don't know if they'll go anywhere with that, but I love the idea of having a protagonist be both the good and the dark and have it be okay, because I feel like that's one of the things of traditional fantasy and sci-fi, which Star Wars falls into this category. You can see it in the artwork, you can see it in the color symbolism. The typical expectation in a traditional thing like this, it's similar to Lord of the Rings. The dark is evil, right? You see it in the coloring of the dark side, like Darth Vader, always depicted in black. It's just a thing. You see it in the fact that any of the Jedi Knights are always wearing brown or white. If they're on the light side, they're wearing white or brown or cream. If they're on the dark side, they're wearing black. Same thing with, you also have this with Palpatine's face. He himself, he's very ugly and wrinkled and morphed. No matter when you see him, he always just looks creepy. He has that creepy vibe about him. And that is the same thing that you see in Lord of the Rings with the orcs. They are abominations, they're creatures of the darkness. They were created as a mixture between human and elf, and the way that they're created makes them looked down upon by every single other race because they're not like, they're mass produced, right? It's mass produced life, which most people understand that's not a good thing. And then you can see that they're evil. You can see that they're evil because they're ugly. That is the nature of the classic sci-fi fantasy stuff. Granted, you get some of that going a little bit mixed a little bit more in sci-fi, especially if you're dealing with aliens. The ugly things aren't always evil, but usually, if they're good, they're gonna look a little cuter. They're gonna be like soft and fuzzy, like Chewie. He's not human, but he is still very lovable, and that is something of classic storytelling in fantasy and sci-fi that you see a lot. Anyway, so I'm so here for Star Wars to get on the trend of morally gray characters and have there be that mix of the light and the dark, and have it be okay to have a mix of the light and the dark, because let's be real, humanity is a mix. There's good and there's bad. And not, you're never going to be 100% good and you're never going to be 100% bad. Obviously, most of us aim toward being closer to like 98% good. But that doesn't stop us from having the bad thoughts, which, I mean, they do address that in in the Jedi Order, where the entire concept of being a Jedi is choosing to be a Jedi and choosing to be good and choosing to do all of the things that make you honorable rather than giving in to fear and anger and hatred, which would guide you toward the Sith. Anyway, that was a rant, but I'm so disappointed that we only saw Rey do the Sith thing with her lightning hands once. I saw that and I was like, holy crap, it's happening, everything's happening, and I was like convinced that they were going to take her all the way through to the dark side, and they almost did. They were this close. And I was ready for another trilogy saga following her as the evil one now, rather than Kylo Ren or Ben or whatever you want to call him. Also, can we talk about that kiss? I am so conflicted because on the one hand, in previous movies, and that's the other thing, is I didn't go back and like watch the other two before going to see this one, so I don't remember exactly how I felt about that in the other two, but like I do remember feeling like I shipped them, and then I was unhappy about that kiss, and I feel like that's because in this particular movie, the filmography, the way that they portrayed the characters really set you up well to very easily ship Finn and Rey. So I don't know how I felt about the kiss with Ben, because it felt like a betrayal of everything else that they had been trying to lead you toward in the movie. Like, it wasn't like here are two sides, choose one. It was like we want you to ship these two. Oh, and by the way, these two are connected, so it makes sense that they'd kiss, and it just felt like fan service rather than actually good working within the plot. So there's that little aspect. Like, I don't mind it because I know in the past I have shipped Rey and Kylo, right? But at the same time, I just felt so conflicted by that kiss. And then especially to have him die and fade, and I really wish we could have seen him like come back as a blue Jedi ghost, because that would have been a wonderful moment. But we didn't see that. Although, yeah, we didn't see Leia either. Oh, man, my heart. I like knew it was coming because Carrie, love her. But also, like, you can't keep having movies with an actress who's dead in them, right? That doesn't work no matter how good CGI becomes. So, I I saw that one. I saw that death coming, but it still hurt me. Um, and then there's Ben's death, and I wanted better for him. I wanted him to survive, and like I would have loved like. Any of you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender? Because I'm about to spoil that too. Uh, sorry if you haven't seen it, but it's been a few years. Zuko's redemption arc is one of the best to hit the film industry ever, right? I love Zuko's redemption arc, and I feel like Ben's redemption arc could have been like that. Like, I really wanted him to just, like, walk into the rebel base camp and be like, hi guys, sorry, I'm not here to kill any of you, and you have no reason to believe me about that, but, I want to help. Like, I've seen the error of my ways, and I want to help. And it breaks my heart that he didn't know that he could have done that, and it would have been okay. You know? Like, the entire rebel base is a mess of misfits, where it's okay to have been a scrapper and become a Jedi Knight, and it's okay to have been a spice runner and become part of the resistance and like be a general. It's okay to have been a stormtrooper and become part of the resistance. Like, I am just really wishing that there would have been a chance for Ben and Rey to work together where the rest of the world could have seen Ben as Ben, a hero, rather than Kylo Ren, the villain that they're all fighting against, right? And okay, here's another random side thing about this movie that I'm not sure if I liked. The entire trilogy, actually, the connection between Rey and Kylo, that connection is, to my knowledge, and maybe I just forgot it all, but that was never explained. There was no, like, here's why they're connected. Like, it would have made a lot more sense for me if, like, Leia and Luke had been connected like that, because they're twins. But from this lineage and that lineage, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's really cool that there's the Skywalker lineage and the Palpatine lineage. Like, bizarre twist, did not see that one coming, couldn't figure out who she was related to that would have had the Force. For a hot second there, I was pretty sure that, like, they were gonna pull, like, an OG Star Wars plot twist and have Rey be, like, a Skywalker. And, I mean, at the end, I guess she chooses that name, and that's a cool thing, too. More on that in a little bit. But, the concept of having the two of them connected and have all of those psychic meetings where it was unclear as a viewer what the other two could see, I just... that connection was never explained, and I really wanted there to be, like, a good reason behind why they were connected and why they could have these, like, psychic meetings. And it's like having somebody do too many flashbacks in a novel, okay? Where it's like, you're going, and then it just pulls you straight out of the action, which has its pros and cons. But I think in this particular trilogy, there might have been too many psychic connection moments like that. Really cool how it worked where they could get aspects of each other's surroundings by what was pulled through in the fight scenes. But that part also, it just confused me because they could affect each other's surroundings without physically being there and then, like, transfer things, like, through force portals, I guess, to where each other is, which is confusing to me, but okay, like, cool. Love what they did with the lightsaber at the very end. That was on point. But the rest of everything about that connection just kind of confused me. Although I do love that they're more powerful together like that. But what did it look like from, say, Finn's perspective to have Rey fighting Kylo? Like, did she suddenly just start talking, pull out her lightsaber, and start battling the air? Like, what would that look like to bystanders? Because I feel like that's what we were missing. That would have explained a heck of a lot that didn't really make sense. In novel writing, we call this head hopping, whereas in order to be experiencing that psychic connection with between Rey and Kylo, the way that they showed it in the film, where it was flashing back and forth between Kylo's point of view and like his current surroundings and Rey's point of view and her current surroundings, in order to do that without head hopping, we just needed to be consistently in the same perspective throughout the entire scene, which is less fun cinematically, but more helpful as a viewer. So, like, seeing Rey from Finn's perspective just start dueling the air and then have, like, and, like, we saw that a few times with, like, the space around her with things flying around her feet that she hid out of the market in Kylo's space. Or, like, with Vader's helmet flying into again, Kylo's space from Rey's space. But, like, what did that look like for any of the people around them? Because Kylo was pretty much always with, like, guards, right? Or stormtroopers or the Knights of Ren, whatever, whoever he was with. He was always with people. Same with Rey, most of the time, whenever, like, especially the first few times they had these conversations, whatever you want to call them. Like, did Finn and Poe not think it odd that Rey just starts, like, staring off into the distance, walking away, and then fighting the air? Like, I wanted to see that interaction. That would have been fabulous. Also, I understand, like, for the time constraints of a movie, you can't show all of that, but it could have been a really good, natural, comedic moment, and I feel like they missed out, and I'm sad about it. Anyway, there were a lot of really cool ideas that I just feel like weren't executed all the way through, and I would have loved to see them be executed all the way through. I enjoyed the movie. It was a very enjoyable movie. Was it strong writing? I would say no. There were loopholes and plot holes that they never do go back to explain, and I don't know if they will. I'm so sad that Ben died. He deserved to live. I wanted him to live and actually be able to live out his redemption rather than just show up at the end to help Rey know that she wasn't alone. Which is still it's a very powerful way to show that she's not alone and show his redemption arc, but at the same time, I would have loved for him to approach Finn and Poe and be like, hi, I've seen the error of my ways. I want to help make it right. What can I do? I know I promise I'm not a spy. You know, like, granted, they would have had no reason to believe him, but just imagine, right? That would have been so cool. Rey choosing the name Skywalker. That was cool. Also felt weird. Again, that was one of those times when I really wish she had, claimed the name Palpatine, and bring redemption to that name, you know? But, like, at the same time, I understand why she didn't, and if she did love Ben, then it makes sense, I guess, to choose the name Skywalker, because I don't know, that just was confusing. Like, yes, Luke was a major influence in her life, Leia was a major influence in her life, but Leia's name was Organa. And even then, she married Han. So, was she Leia Solo? Did they change names like that when they get married in Star Wars? Like, unclear. Also, let's talk about the title of this movie, The Rise of Skywalker. Still unclear to me who that title is talking about, and maybe that's intentional. Because that could have been in reference to Ben. But again, he's Ben Solo, which causes some problems. Or it could have been in reference to Rey, as she chooses the name Skywalker in the very end. Like, it's unclear. I don't know how I feel about her choosing the name Skywalker. It doesn't flow well. I would have rather her have made up a last name differently than to just choose to be a Skywalker. And yet it's also really powerful and symbolic for her to choose to be a Skywalker. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think about her choosing to be a Skywalker down in the comments. Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Did you agree with what I said I liked and didn't like? Did you think it was more fan service, not good writing? Like, I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments what you think about The Rise of Skywalker. And I will see you next time. Until then, bye. If you like these videos, like and subscribe and share with your friends. I post every Monday. Sometimes I do movie reviews, sometimes I do book reviews, sometimes I explain plots like I did with Cats and a few other books. Sometimes I just talk about the publishing world and how to write good novels. So I talk about a lot of things. Usually all of them are story related or industry related. So if you're into that sort of thing, let me know. I would love to get to know you better, love to help you as you progress into your own journey into the arts, especially literary arts. I would also love to give a shout out to my Patreon patron. I have one right now, and I would love to increase that number. So if you are at all interested in supporting me on my writing journey, on my YouTubing journey, on my journey through life, there's a link down below. But thank you to my patron. And I will see you next time. Bye.